Begin with our invocation song, Jai Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. King of all books, Srimad Bhagavatam. So now, an invocation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. My regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise of transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Alright, so there's some kind of staticky noise going on, but we'll survive. Alright, so we are reading from a new chapter today in Canto 6, chapter 14, entitled King Chitraketu's Lamentation. So, we've been studying the pastime of Vritrasura lately, and this is kind of picking up where we left off. Who liked the story of Vritrasura? Yeah, so it's really amazing. This story, it covered how a demon was a devotee, even though he had a birth and he had a form which was very scary and fearsome. In his heart, he was a devotee. So now we're going to hear about how that happened. We're going to get a little bit of backstory. Can someone please read text 1? This is chapter 14. 6:14:1. Anyone have the microphone? Oh.
King Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, O learned Brahmana, demons are generally sinful, being obsessed with the modes of passion and ignorance. How then could Vritrasura have attained such exalted love for the supreme personality of Godhead, Narayana?
So this is like what we were talking about. He is basically saying, how is it possible that someone who's a demon could be this elevated in pure love of God? So this story, it's being narrated by Shukadeva Goswami, and the person who's hearing it, he's hearing this story and he's just shocked. He's like, wow, I've never seen anything like this where, such a demon is situated in pure love. Can someone read the next text?
Demigods situated in the mode of goodness and great saints cleansed of the dirt of material enjoyment hardly ever render pure devotional service at the lotus feet of Mukunda. Therefore, how could Vritrasura have become such a great devotee?
So at this point, even the higher beings, even all the saints and the sages and the demigods, like the yogis, the people who, do these austere practices, even they hardly ever render pure devotional service at the lotus feet of Krishna. So how unimaginably rare it is to render pure devotional service. Next text, please.
In this material world, there are as many living entities as atoms. Among these living entities, a very few are human beings, and among them, few are interested in following religious principles.
So these next verses, they're talking about the rarity of devotional service. So it's saying that there are as many living entities as there are atoms. That's a lot of living entities, right? And then out of all of these living entities, a very few are human beings. So we can think about that, how there's so many species of life that we could have ended up in, but somehow we're human beings able to hear this. And among all the human beings, even fewer are interested in anything pious at all, anything that's not instant gratification of their senses. Next text, please.
Text 4. O best of the Brahmanas, Shukadev Goswami, out of many persons who follow religious principles, only a few desire liberation from the material world. Among many thousands who desire liberation, one may actually achieve liberation, giving up material attachment to society, friendship, love, country, home, wife and children. And among many thousands of such liberated persons, one who can understand the true meaning of liberation is very rare.
All right. So I have a question for you guys. Or, Dustin, what is the true meaning of liberation? How would you interpret that? You just, or yeah, someone can give him the mic.
The true meaning of liberation would be freedom from the cycle of birth and death. That would be one point.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, we're seeing here that there's actually a distinction being made. So it's saying that only a few desire liberation from the material world. And among many thousands who desire liberation, kind of what you're talking about, freedom from the material world, out of all of those people who want to escape this material world, let's see, among thousands, one can understand what true liberation is. So it's even higher than leaving this material world. What is that?
That would be going to Goloka Vrindavan or Vaikuntha.
Yeah, going to the higher planets. So there's this distinction. We see in this world that there are kind of two types of spiritualists almost. There's the ones who want to, they say, oh, I'm so sick of this material world. Everything is so bad here and there's so much suffering. I need to get out of here. So in one way, that's kind of an escapism route. It's saying, I want to leave the material world. And then another thought process is, I want to enter the spiritual world. It seems very similar, but it's two different things. One is trying to escape misery, and one is trying to chase after pure love of God. And then also another point that we'll dive into more is how some, they want to only merge into the void. We see that it's very popular in nowadays spirituality. It's like, I want to become one with everything. And even that isn't the highest level of liberation, because the highest level of liberation is pure love. It's pure love of God. So we'll read this next text here. Muktanam api siddhanam Narayana Parayana Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishvapi Mahamune. Please chant. Muktanam api siddhanam Parayana Parayana Durlabha Prashanatma Ishvapi Mahamune. Muktanam api siddhanam Parayana Parayana Durlabha Sanatma Patishvapi Mahamune. Siddhanam Parayana Parayana Durlabha Prashantatma Patishvapi Mahamune. Or Mother Tulsi Saki. Muktanam api siddhanam Parayana Parayana Durlabha Prasanatma Muktanam api siddhanam. Parayana parayana. Real quick, does anyone recognize any words in here? Narayan, okay. And Sidurlabha, what does Sidurlabha mean? Yeah, Durlabha means rare, and Sudurlabha means very rare. Any other words? All right, Mahamuni, what does that mean? Great sage. So Maha means great, and then a Muni is a sage. And then you said Prashantatma? Prashantatma? What does that mean? Yeah, happy soul, or like Shanti, Shanta. So it's peaceful. Koti, millions. Okay. And then also we have Siddha. Anyone ever heard of Siddhis before? Mystic cities. So we're going to talk about that. All right, synonyms all together. Muktanam, of those who are liberated during this life, who are unattached to the bodily comforts of society, friendship, and love. Api, even. Siddhanam, who are perfect because they understand the insignificance of bodily comforts. Narayana Parayana, a person who has concluded that Narayan is the supreme. Very rarely found. Shantat is Atma, whose mind. Kotishu, out of millions, trillions. Api, even. Mahamune, O great sage. Translation: O great sage, among millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. So among millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee. So being a devotee here, it's beyond liberation. And so this is a very long purport. So we're going to discuss it as we go and kind of break down points in the paragraph before moving on to the next purport. Can someone please read the first paragraph?
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following purport to this verse. Simply desiring mukti or liberation is insufficient. One must become factually liberated. When one understands the futility of the materialistic way of life, one becomes advanced in knowledge, and therefore he situates himself in the Vanaprastha order, unattached to family, wife and children. One should then further progress to the platform of sannyasa, the actual renounced order, never to fall again and be afflicted by material life. Even though one desires to be liberated, this does not mean he is liberated. Only rarely is someone liberated. Indeed, although many men take sannyasa to become liberated, because of their imperfections, they again become attached to women, material activities, social welfare, work, and so on.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here is something, you could say it's very prominent in Hinduism. Often in Hinduism, they want to attain mukti. And what does mukti mean? Destin or Vaishnav? Liberation, okay. So what does it mean in this context though, Vaishnav? What kind of liberation? What kind of liberation did the impersonalists want? To merge into the Brahman, so to merge into the light, essentially. And so in this process of merging into the light, to become one with the Brahma Jyoti, to become one with the void, one has to be very renounced, one has to be very austere, and one has to take sannyas. We see there are many sannyasis in different sects, and it's a very difficult process. They have to be detached from family, wife, and children, and anything material they have to be completely detached from. And yet, although many men take sannyas in these lines, because of their imperfections, they again become attached to material activities, social welfare work, and so on. So, does anyone have an idea why? Why is it so hard to detach? Why is it so hard for them to just like not be attached to any of these things? Yeah, we have to be attached to something. This other path, it's saying detach from everything. Cut off all ties, cut off this and that. But in bhakti, we say attach, but in a Krishna conscious way. So in bhakti, people can be married. In bhakti, people can have children. In bhakti, people can have a house or a phone. And so they still have these things. But when they're used in the service of Krishna, then it becomes spiritual. And it isn't actually something we have to give up anymore. Unless it's actually very individual what that looks like. One person may need to, be at this level, and another person may need to be at that level or that level. So, yeah. Next paragraph.
Jnanis, yogis, karmis devoid of devotional service are called offenders. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Maya Vidi Krishna Aparadhi, one who thinks that everything is Maya instead of thinking that everything is Krishna is called an Aparadhi, or offender. Although the Mayavadis, impersonalists, are offenders at the lotus feet of Krishna, they may nonetheless be counted among the siddhas, those who have realized the self. They may be considered nearer to spiritual perfection, because at least they have realized what spiritual life is. If such a person becomes Narayana Prayana, a devotee of Lord Narayana, he is better than a Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated or perfect. This requires higher intelligence.
Okay, so we're hearing that these different categories of kind of spiritualists, in a sense, if they don't have devotional service, they're offending Krishna. Does anyone have a reason why? Why are they considered offenders? Okay, they consider everything as Maya. Any other thoughts? Daniel.
All you see is
I think it's off.
I think maybe that if Krishna's offering all his love to me and I'm just seeing everything is Maya, then I'm not recognizing and appreciating him in all beings and all things. And so that is pretty rude, because his love is really big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we see this often. People will say that we are God, but we are under illusion temporarily. Have you ever heard that before? That we are God, we are Shiva, we are, this person, but we're under illusion temporarily. So that is saying that illusion is more powerful than God, and illusion is higher than God. And even though we're all God, for some reason we forget, and for some reason we are suffering, and for some reason my house burned down, even though I'm God. And this is a very popular philosophy, and it's very attractive, because who doesn't want to be God, Who doesn't want? That's why we're in this material world, is because we want to be God. But this is actually false. We are the servant of God. We are a tiny drop of water. And this energy called Maya, Krishna's energy, because it is Krishna's energy, it's so powerful that it can cover us, but it never covers Krishna. That's why it's offensive, is because they say that Krishna, his form is made of Maya. They say that Krishna, he is just like the rest of us. He's also, under Maya, which is offensive to Krishna. Krishna's like, this is my energy. I have a pure spiritual body, a pure spiritual form, and you're seeing me as Maya. You're seeing everything as Maya. And so that's why it's considered offensive to think this way. All right, next purport, please. Next paragraph. Sorry.
There are two kinds of jnanis. One is inclined to devotional service, and the other to impersonal realization. Impersonalists generally undergo great endeavor for no tangible benefit, and therefore it is said that they are husking paddy that has no grain, stula tushavagantina. The other class of jnanis, whose jnana is mixed with bhakti, are also of two kinds. Those who are devoted to the so-called false form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and those who understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Satchidananda Vigraha, the actual spiritual form. The Mayavadi devotees worship Narayan or Vishnu with the idea that Vishnu has accepted a form of Maya and that the ultimate truth is actually impersonal. The pure devotee, however, never thinks that Vishnu has accepted a body of Maya. Instead, he knows perfectly well that the original absolute truth is the Supreme Person. Such a devotee is actually situated in knowledge. He never merges in the Brahman effulgence, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:2-32.
Okay, so we'll cover that verse in a second. But this is what we were just talking about, is that there are two kinds of jnanis, or knowledge seekers, and one is inclined to bhakti, and the other is inclined to impersonalism. And I found it particularly interesting, this sentence right here. The Mayavadi devotees worship Narayan or Vishnu with the idea that Vishnu has accepted a form of Maya and that the ultimate truth is actually impersonal. So we see this. This is very common still. We're still looking at a lot of what Hinduism is. People consider Hinduism. They do worship deities. They worship Ganesh. They worship Shiva. They worship Durga. They worship Vishnu. They worship Narayan. They worship Krishna, with the idea that they will then become the deity that they worship, or that they will merge with that deity, or that that this deity, this personality, like they say, oh Ganesh, is a manifestation of the material energy. They're saying that Vishnu is, we're all one, but the energy has somehow manifested as Vishnu. And the ultimate truth is actually this oneness. The ultimate truth is actually this non-dual. And but the pure devotee never thinks that Vishnu has accepted a body of Maya. Instead, he knows perfectly well that the original absolute truth is the Supreme Person. Such a devotee is actually situated in knowledge. He never merges in the Brahman effulgence. All right, next. Next, please. We can all chant this verse together. Yene Ravindaksha Vimukta Maninas Tvayashta Bhavad Avishuddha Buddhaya Aruya Kritrena Param Padam Tata Pantyantya Yusmadangraya.
O Lord, the intelligence of those who think themselves liberated but who have no devotion is impure, even though they rise to the highest point of liberation by dint of severe penances and austerities. They are sure to fall down again into material existence, for they do not take shelter at your lotus feet. Evidence of this same point is also given in Bhagavad Gita 9.11, wherein the Lord says...
Okay, so real quick, I want to ask you guys, why is it sure that they will fall down again into material existence? Anyone have an idea? Stephen, then Juno. And you can just call it out and I'll repeat it into the mic. Well, you have the mic.
Because it's boring.
Because it's boring, okay. Juno? Exactly. Okay, so Juno said when you're doing severe penances and austerities, it's like you're jumping up and you're trying to reach something higher. But when you are at the lotus feet of Krishna, he picks you up, he lifts you up. And that's another thing with the impersonal path, is that they say, I'm doing all the work. I am liberating myself. And through my practice, even my practice of bhakti, I am becoming liberated. And also going back to what Stephen said, when they eventually do attain their goal, because it's true that if they do these practices, if they are determined after many, many lives, or after extremely austere and severe penances, they will attain their goal, right? But what do they do there? Okay, you're in the light, now what? What do you do, Juno? If you're in the light, what would you do? Among the other light specks, form a coup. Yeah, if you merged into the light. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a temporary position where they want to no longer have an identity. Except the soul, it, like Stephen said, it gets bored. What am I doing here? And so that goes back to the point Srila Prabhupada just made, is that they again return to family and women and opening hospitals. Because they want to do something. They want to share love. They want to experience relationships and experience experiences. And so they come back down to this material world because they're not satisfied up there. But one who is at the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, they are fully satisfied by... There is Krishna. All right, next part, please. Oh, we're running out of time and we still have half the purport left. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashvita param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Someone please read. We're running out of time though, so we gotta pass the mic quick.
Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. When rascals or mudhas see that Krishna acts exactly like a human being, they deride the transcendental form of the Lord because they do not know the parambhavam, his transcendental form and activities. Such persons are further described in Bhagavad Gita as follows.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. In this current day and age, there's so many translations of Bhagavad Gita and even Srimad Bhagavatam. And I was like, this particular guru, I won't say his name, but he has this perspective that Krishna was an ordinary living being and he became enlightened. And then he gave us the Bhagavad Gita. But in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Krishna is saying that you deride me when I descend in the human form, and that's foolish. I'm actually the parambhavam, my supreme position. And so this is very common nowadays. So we have to see the scriptures as it is. We can't be confused by translations which try to put down Krishna, which try to minimize Krishna, which try to cover Krishna. Next text. Oh wait, we can read this. Mogasha moga karmano moga jana vichetasa rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shriya.
Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Such persons do not know that Krishna's body is not material. There is no distinction between Krishna's body and his soul. But because less intelligent men see Krishna as a human being, they deride him. They cannot imagine how a person like Krishna could be the origin of everything. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Jai.
Such persons are described as mogasha, baffled in their hopes. Whatever they desire for the future will be baffled. Even if they apparently engage in devotional service, they are described as mogasa because they ultimately desire to merge into the Brahman effulgence.
Okay, next paragraph, please.
Those who aspire to be elevated to the heavenly planets by devotional service will also be frustrated, because this is not the result of devotional service. However, they are also given a chance to engage in devotional service and be purified, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17.
Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantasto hyabhajani vidhunoti suritsatam. Jai. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So Krishna, he is personally cleaning the heart. He says he cleanses the heart for material enjoyment. So this point Srila Prabhupada just made was that, is that sometimes people do bhakti for all these different reasons. They do bhakti to merge with the light. They do bhakti to go to a heavenly planet, but it's frustrated because that's not the point of bhakti. That's not the result of bhakti. But when they do this, they're getting tricked by Krishna because he's actually cleaning their heart at the same time. So they may be doing this, but Krishna, if one is sincere, he'll clean their heart and he'll elevate them. We got one more paragraph, so let's hold in tight. Thank you.
Unless the dirt within the core of one's heart is cleansed away, one cannot become a pure devotee. Therefore, the word very rarely found is used in this. The word sudurlabha, very rarely found, is used in this verse, not only among hundreds and thousands, but among millions of perfectly liberated souls. A pure devotee is hardly ever found. Therefore, the words Kotesva api are used herein. Srila Madhavakarya gives the following quotation from the Tantra Bhagavata.
Navakotyasti devanam vishaya saptakotaya narayanaya sarve yakichit tatparayana. We're almost through. There are 90 million demigods and 70 million sages who are all called Narayanayana. Sorry, I think I said that. All right. Narayanayana, devotees of Lord Narayan. Among them, only a few are called Narayana Parayana. Next verse. Narayanayana Deva Rishyadyastyat Parayana Brahmadya Kitanaivasyu Siddho Yogyo Sukham Labhan. The difference between the Siddhas and the Narayana Parayanas is that the direct devotees are called Narayana Parayanas, whereas those who perform various types of mystic yoga are called Siddhas. All right, so that encapsulates the theme of today, that the difference between Siddhas and Narayana Parayanas, difference between those who are attracted to material gain, those who are attracted to mystic powers, those who are attracted to merging into the light, and those who are attracted to Krishna. And we see that out of 90 million demigods and 70 million sages, among them only a few are called Narayana Parayana. And up here we see among millions of perfected, liberated souls, a pure devotee is hardly ever found. Wow, can you guys conceive of that? There's so many millions of people who are endeavoring for this liberation into the void, into the supreme. And among all of those millions, hardly one pure devotee is found. And so this ties back into the context, is that the person who's hearing this story, he goes, out of the millions and millions and millions of people, hardly one pure devotee is ever found, and this pure devotee is a demon? So that's kind of the context of this, is he's saying, bhakti is so rare. And this one person, out of all the demigods who were present, out of all the this and that, the one person who had pure devotion was the demon. And so I will just quickly say the final verse that we're supposed to cover. We'll skip over these other ones. Or, I don't know, I'll just read them really quick because they're nice. Vritrasura was situated in the blazing fire of battle and was an infamous sinful demon, always engaged in giving troubles and anxieties to others. How could such a demon become so greatly Krishna conscious? My dear Lord Shukadeva Goswami, although Vritrasura was a sinful demon, he showed the prowess of a most exalted Kshatriya and satisfied Lord Indra in battle. How could such a demon be a great devotee of Lord Krishna? These contradictions have caused me great doubt, and they have made me eager to hear of this from you. Sri Sutta Goswami said, after hearing Maharaj Parikshit's very intelligent question, Shukadeva Goswami, the most powerful sage, began answering his disciple with great affection. Cliffhanger. We're not going to find out why this demon's a devotee today, but come back Tuesday and you'll hear the backstory of this demon devotee. All right, we're quite over time, but anyone have any comments, questions, reflections on these verses?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class that I felt like a bit of the mood of Tamal Krishna Goswami and Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisaranta, this strength of sharing the truth of the scripture. I appreciate that, and that you have this fire to just say, look, this is what it is, and don't miss the point. So thank you for your strength of conviction. I also wanted to highlight the lesson from this whole episode with Vritrasura, and this verse, we have no idea who is a pure devotee externally. We may look at someone in this community and judge them externally based on their age, based on their nationality, based on their even time they've been. We may judge based on the time someone has been practicing bhakti, Mm-hmm. Oh, this person's only been around, a year. They're not as advanced, but we have no idea in their previous lifetimes what they were doing, like Chitraketu. So I'm just highlighting this point that we have to be very careful externally making judgments about someone's advancement in Krishna consciousness, because as Parikshit Maharaj is exclaiming that even this monster is a pure devotee, so how can we know just by looking at someone what their level of consciousness is?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. And if there's one thing that gets me worked up, it's Mayavad philosophy. It's just like, what is going on? Like, why are you, like, how do you, because the thing is, like, they're so close. Even in this verse, it's saying that they're siddhas. They're practically liberated. They're practically perfected, but they miss the point by just like 1 degree. They're studying the Vedas. They're studying Bhagavad Gita. They're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, but somehow they just twist it a tiny bit, and the destination, the direction is just completely askew, and they end up baffled in their attempt. So anyways, and it's so prominent. That's what Srila Prabhupada came here to help people with, is because they're getting confused by these gurus who are saying that you are God, and by these twisted translations. So it's part of our duty to help people and say, actually, this is not the conclusion of the scriptures. Stephen Prue.
Hare Krishna, thank you for class. So the way that I'm understanding it is that liberation means that you're completely free of material attachments. But bhakti is higher than liberation. So then why is it that we see or experience as devotees, we still have material attachments?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure lots of devotees here would have nice things to share. I've heard from my seniors and others that I'm sure you've heard this before too, but it's like the fan. When you turn off the fan, it still spins for a little bit, but it's slowing down. Essentially, the fan is off, right? Our material life has stopped spinning. Well, no, our material life is turned off, and our material attachments are turned off, but they still spin for some time because the fan has been spinning so many births, so many lives. It's been, we've been conditioned to these attachments. And once we take to bhakti, even once uttering the holy name, we were hearing, yesterday? Even once chanting the holy name, more sins than we can imagine have been purified. And so essentially the fan is turned off, but it'll still spin for some time. We'll still feel an adjustment. It's not like, Hare Krishna, now I'm like floating and I'm piercing through the ceiling of the temple and flying straight up. But the fan will spin for a little bit. But it works. We see that over, a period of time, we see that it does gradually bring us to that point. Versus this other type of liberation, what do we see over time? We see that over time they get bored with it. We see over time that they're like, I can't keep, doing these austerities. I have to get back to what I used to do. And so in bhakti, it's like a slow climb versus this kind of liberation we're talking about. They may try to go to this point of, okay, I'm going to renounce everything in this world. Everything in this world is illusion. And then they're like, okay, what do I do? Okay, I'm going back down to what I used to do. So in that way, it's actually different. Juno?
So I was thinking about how you're talking about merging with Brahman and merging with the light, and how that's complete impersonalization, and it's like removal of the self to where it's no longer an individual existence. It's like undoing like anything attached to materialism. And I was kind of curious how merging with Godhead is at all different than merging with the light of Brahman.
Yeah, so at least the way we understand it is that the light of Brahman is the light of God. So that is merging into godliness. That's merging into the light of God. But for us, when we come to God, we come to God in a relationship. Relationship means two people, and two people who are unique, two people who interact and share love in their unique way. So that's our merging. Our merging is merging in relationship. We stay an individual because we are. Everyone is an individual soul, and God is always God. But when we come to Him, we come in relationship. So these people who merge into the light, they are still merging into God, in a sense. So it is still spiritual. That's what Srila Prabhupada was saying in this purport, is it's still considered spiritual. It's still perfect, because it's not tinged with materialism. But is it more than perfect? Is it more perfect? See, merging, it's perfect, but bhakti is more perfect. If you can even conceive of a more perfect. Anyways, does that help? Anything else?
It's a good explanation.
Okay, Buyat, Mridangapu had something.
Yeah, related to what you were saying, that the merging into Godhead for a devotee means oneness in desire, that I want what you want, Krishna. Let thy will be mine. And we experience this too with the close relationships we have, that you know the heart of someone, they know your heart. It's like you're one in what you want to do, and yet you're two people. So by love, you become one in interest with Krishna. So that's the merging for a devotee.
All right. Daniel.
Thank you for teaching, Hare Krishna. I really like that last point that Brihat made, and I really like your passion. It's good stuff. So I really also really enjoy thinking about Krishna's mercy, because even when we're like trying to do bhakti, you know, to like achieve some personal gain or higher level of being or whatever it is, it's only that we can only do bhakti through Krishna's mercy, because there's no way to achieve any of that without Krishna either. And so, at least from my understanding, and so I really like how all the while Krishna is cleaning our hearts for us to be able to recognize him and fall in love with him.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you for bringing a little more sweetness into this topic. This topic is kind of a little bit like bashing, not bashing, but putting a distinction. But this is such a wonderful point you brought, that Krishna, he never gets cheated. You can never cheat Krishna. Krishna cheats you. You try to go over him. You try to become him. You try to take over his position. But he's cleaning your heart without you even knowing it. So it's good that people are trying to read Bhagavad Gita. It's good that people are trying to understand these things, and Krishna will benefit them. Krishna is so merciful that he is purifying them. I remember Giraj Swami recalls when he went to Srila Prabhupada the first time, he had in his room on his mirror, it says, "You are God," or something like that. And then when he met Srila Prabhupada, somehow, well, first thing is he saw like this effulgence. He was blinded by Srila Prabhupada somehow. And then Srila Prabhupada said, if becoming God is your mission, then why would God help his competition? Yeah, so, and at that point, Giraj Maharaj, he envisioned that Srila Prabhupada looked all the way through him and back into his bathroom, onto his mirror that says, "You are God." And that's why he said that. So, yeah, so even though he said that, why would God help the competition? That's true. But also he helps us come to the correct understanding eventually, gradually.
Thank you for the very nice class. I just had one, when it was, making so clear how rare it is for there to be a pure devotee, amongst so many millions of souls. And I was thinking how fortunate we are to be so close to Srila Prabhupada, actually, in terms of, the rarity of a pure devotee and a recognized pure devotee that came and shared Krishna consciousness. We're not that far, I mean, I was born in 82, so, 5 years, just, and just how fortunate we are to, be connected with Srila Prabhupada like that. So, very nice class. Thank you.
Jai. All right, well, I won't hold anyone hostage any longer. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Merging into the void ki boo. Serving Krishna ki jai.